Well, again, time after time we come to these sites and we see that they're lying, that this is just an ordinary construction site in an agricultural area. This is not a military area at all, nothing.
Well, anything that stands in the way of total genocidal aims of the Zionists and is considered Hezbollah. Period. This is how it is. If you are something like this, like a construction site that could help people in the south, you are Hezbollah.
Yeah.
If you bring food to people, you're Hezbollah. If you're a doctor, you're Hezbollah. If you're a teacher, you're Hezbollah. Anyone and anything that stands in the way of Zionism in the area is Hezbollah. And therefore, I think anytime they brand you with Hezbollah, you should be very proud of yourself. Hey everybody, this is Laith Maroof from Free Palestine TV, and we are in al-Najjariyah town, village, just between Saida and Nabatiyah on the main highway. Before we continue with this report, I'm going to ask you to press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and to go to our website, freepalestine.video, to donate so we can continue bringing you this content. Last time we were around this area, was actually across the highway here, where the Zionists targeted a collection of heavy machinery dealerships that led to the destruction of hundreds of excavators, tractors, and the losses of hundreds of millions of dollars. We're here today with Steve Sweeney, RT war correspondent from South Lebanon, practically for the same reason. Last night, there was an attack on this location, another one of those dealerships of heavy machinery. We were told there's 8 missiles fired from a fighter jet on this location, and we can see the destruction. Thank you very much, Steve, for coming with us today. We look at this, and the last time we were also in Blida, we saw one of these heavy machineries being destroyed. Tell us, what do you think is the main reason these machineries are being targeted?
Well, we need to be very clear what's happening here, and not just last night, but over the course of the past year since the ceasefire came into place in November 2024, Israel has been waging a war on construction vehicles. Now, what we see behind us is what we've seen in Masale, as you mentioned earlier, but this is like a graveyard for construction vehicles. Now, if you heard the IDF statement yesterday, they said that they were targeting these construction vehicles because they said that they were reconstructing and rebuilding Hezbollah infrastructure. Now, of course, there is absolutely no evidence for this, and that isn't the real reason that they're targeting these construction vehicles. This is about something much deeper. This is about targeting construction vehicles to prevent the people in southern Lebanon from rebuilding their villages, from rebuilding their homes, because they want the land. That's essentially what this is about. This is about breaking people's connection with their land, driving them out, making it unsafe or unlivable, preventing them from returning, because we know, according to the Trump economic zone, and this is something I talk about quite frequently, and quite frankly, this should be spoken about much more than it actually is, because this is a plan that we saw over many years. Actually, this is the latest incarnation of plans we saw in the 1980s. For example, this was the plan that whole belt would be policed by the South Lebanese army. Now they want to police it with United States troops, and of course the IDF would have access to all of those settlements that would be cleared, but they can't do that without putting a number of things in place first. First is, of course, the disarmament of Hezbollah. Now this is something that again, this is again not new. The disarmament of Hezbollah has been spoken about in Lebanon for some time, although it's been rejected because successive governments have realised that they cannot defend the country without Lebanon's weapons. The Lebanese army is, as we know, unfunded. It's poorly equipped. It's poorly trained. It can't defend the land. And under this new plan, the Americans now, we have a conference coming up in Paris in March, where various investors, including the Gulf states, including France, the United States, are talking about now pumping millions of dollars into the Lebanese armed forces. Again, nothing new. These kind of conferences happen quite frequently. But if you recall the words of the US envoy, Tom Barak, and he was very candid when he spoke about this and said that you've got to be kidding, these weapons will not be used against the Israelis.
Because who are they going to fight, right? We don't want to arm them. We're going to arm them so they can fight Israel? I don't think so. So you're arming them so they can fight their own people.
You were mentioning this plan. First step is the disarmament of Hezbollah. Watch for the electricity wires. We don't want to be electrocuted. But the second step is obviously the depopulation.
Depopulation,
The ethnic cleansing. The removal of the people in the south of Lebanon. And that cannot be accomplished if the Lebanese people in the south are able to rebuild their homes and return to them.
Now, as we understand the strikes that took place on Friday evening, they took place at a time when the Lebanese government was actually talking about reconstruction. I mean, we're more than a year past the ceasefire, and no reconstruction program, no reconstruction plan has been put in place, and Lebanon's being held hostage because why this hasn't been implemented so far is because they said, well, we're not going to rebuild these areas, we're not going to regenerate these areas unless Hezbollah is disarmed. So, they're kind of dangling that as, look, you need to, if Hezbollah don't disarm, we're not going to rebuild your area, we're not going to rebuild your homes. So they have a number of things that they're doing, and we've seen this over the course of the past year or 2 years, with Israel targeting agricultural land, of course. As we saw in Blida last week, these olive groves are older than the state of Israel. The olive trees are older than the state of Israel.
They're older than any Western state. Some of these olives are 3,000 years old at least.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's clearly part of this erasure of not only the people, but their history and their presence on this land. You mentioned that meeting that was happening in the cabinet, and where finally some money was allocated. Around $50 million were allocated for the rebuilding and reconstruction of the South. And here we have at least a couple of hundred $1 million of damage in this area from machinery. So it's almost like the money that was promised by the Lebanese government is now worthless. It's now irrelevant.
I think it's also important to mention that under international law, targeting of construction vehicles is a war crime. It's not a controversial point to say that. This is embedded in international law. But as we all know, the Zionists, international law doesn't apply to them. They can act at will. And
the last time you were on the show and we talked a little bit about international law, some of our viewers commented that it's a joke to even mention international law right now.
Well, it is, of course.
And obviously, it has, for those who know a little bit about international law, we know that it is not de jure, meaning it's not adjudicated in court. International law is de facto. What can you implement through force and or through compliance of the states? So currently, nobody can enforce the international law pertaining to the rules of war, to genocide, to any of these things, because nobody has the courage or is willing to use their weapons to do so. And therefore, international law right now, de facto is you can genocide, rape, destroy, kill, loot.
Well, international law,
you can't stop it.
International law is written by the imperialists for the benefit of the imperialists, and it's implemented through imperialist state structures.
Wow.
Look at the impact crater here. This was some...
Wow, look, there's bedrock there.
Yeah. I mean, to cut through this is these are very powerful munitions that they've used. Very, very powerful. Look at the scale of the destruction here. This is, yeah, like a graveyard for construction vehicles. Here we are. And one thing that I said before, after Massaila was struck, and this was huge blast. These were, a number of sites for heavy machinery. But the Lebanese government knows that these places are going to be targeted, and what action have they taken to protect these sites in particular? They could have moved a lot of the construction vehicles to safer areas. They didn't do that. They could have positioned the Lebanese army in and around these kind of areas to prevent them from being struck, but they haven't done that. And you have to ask why. Why haven't they done that? Why haven't they taken any measures to protect construction vehicles? Why haven't they taken any measures to protect the people of the south, the buildings, the land? Joseph Owen said just recently, after he was marking 1 year as president of Lebanon, he's very proud that they haven't fired one single shot.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, for me, that's astonishing.
It is definitely one of the curses on Lebanon right now, is that you have a collaborationist government in the form of this president and prime minister. And as long as they're in power, and Hezbollah has up until now decided not to challenge that power and not to fire back just for their own reasons. Some say because they're rebuilding, they're trying to figure out all the leaks that were led to some of those assassinations that we saw over the war. But eventually it's clear that this cannot be the norm. Something has to give, and it will. Look at this. I mean, parts of those excavators are all the way here. They've flown from this is a
wide area. And what you said, somewhere between 8 and 10 missiles struck here. And as we were coming in, Laith, you spoke to somebody who explained about one of the people that was very badly injured and is now in hospital receiving treatment.
Yeah, like we were told that basically a nurse was coming to visit a shepherd in the area that needed checkup. It's like a call-in nurse kind of situation. And when she arrived in her car, that's when the attacks began. Some of the shrapnel hit her car, went through the car and hit her leg. She's been in emergency surgery since last night. We hope she gets better and is released, inshallah. But there is worry that she may lose her leg because it was a big piece of shrapnel that hit her thigh. Inshallah, she's better. But this is, what we've seen for now 2 years, targeting of civilians, by the Zionists. I mean, I almost have stopped using the word Zionist. I now use the word Jewish supremacist or Jew-sader, because this is how little care they have for anyone that they don't consider human.
Yeah. I think it's also important to point out, perhaps, I mean, people will know this already, but these attacks couldn't take place without the weapons and the means to do so. Not just the weapons, but the military support and the political support of the United States, of the United Kingdom, of the Western countries, who seem to wash their hands of what's happening here.
Talking about that, there's now multiple American destroyers and frigates that are parked right across the water from here.
Yeah.
And they are supposedly there to defend the Zionist colony in the situation where there's a war with Iran and missiles are fired from Lebanon or from Iran over Lebanon towards the Zionist colony, that they'll try to shoot them down. Yes, this Zionist colony wouldn't have lasted 1 day since 1948 without the constant, non-stop use of all the resources of the imperial domains to maintain it.
Yeah. And of course, I think you're talking about the base in Akrotiri in Cyprus.
Oh yes, of course. But there's ships right now in the international waters, just outside the Lebanese waters. There's multiple American ships right now still parked there.
So they've mobilized. They're mobilizing En masse, we know that Akrotiri is used to fly spy planes over Gaza, but they also fly them along the coast of Lebanon as well. It's intelligence gathering, and it's soon after these flights occur that strikes happen. So there's a huge, this imperialist collusion against not just Gaza, but Lebanon, Iran, Syria, as we saw with the fall of Assad. This is an imperialist collusion against this part of the world.
إذا فيك تحكي على موضوع إنه كيف أنت لأنك ذكرتها إنه الأسلحة كلها هي جاية من أمريكا، برأيك أنت ليش هم مركزين على ضرب معدات إعادة الإعمار؟
هلا أول شغلة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله على كل شيء، الحمد لله ما في عنا عنا ضرب أشياء طفيفة بالبشر، بس عنا المجزرة واضحة كتير. هذه الآلية هي بتساعد على إعادة الأعمار مزبوط، بس هي كمان بتعمل بساتين، بتعمل حفريات، بتعمل بناء بكل على مستوى هذه المنطقة هون. هلا قبل شوي حدا جاب لي قطعة بالنسبة للدول الأجنبية اللي هي قايمة على موضوع سلاح المقاومة ومسلاح المقاومة، وإنه مين بيحميكم؟ بتحمينا الدولة ولا مين؟ أو ترامب اللي فايت بالسلام. أي سلام هذا اللي بيبعت لأمريكا تضرب مركز تجاري محط مثل ما شايف أنت الخبير اللي بدكم إياه من أي دول العالم، إذا هذه البورة بتخص المنشأة أو أي شيء، إلا إذا خايفين منها لهذه المكنة إنه ترجع تبني. نحن باقيين هون البشر بيرجع حتى بنحفر بايدينا. سيد موسى قال اسرائيل شر مطلق، التعامل معها حرام، ونحن بنقول من هون من هذه الارض الطيبه، من هذه الارض اللي ارتوت دم الشهداء. السنه الماضيه دفعنا دم نحن بال 66 يوم، وراحت ارزاقنا، وراحت من 3 اشهر راح على طريق مصيلح كمان من موضوع اعاده الاعمار، مثل ما هلا اعاده الاعمار انذكر كلمه صغيره باعاده الاعمار. فخلينا نفهمه لحضره دوله الرئيس تمام دولة رئيس الحكومة ورئيس الجمهورية، يجوا يكشفوا يطلعوا لعنا لهون، ما بنقبل الا يجوا يشوفوا هون وكيف بدنا نستقبلهم بأحر من الجمر. نحن بنستقبلهم بنفرجيهم انه ابدا ما عم نقول انتم يا جيش اللبناني او يا دولتنا، نحن تحت القانون مش فوق القانون، بس بدنا مين يحمينا؟ مين بيحمينا؟ مين بيرد لنا ارزاقنا؟ عندنا ما يقارب ال 15 دينهم هون، هذه كلها مليانه. نحن بنبيع اكسسوار. هلا انت شايف هيك شويه كراكيب، هولي مكانات كانت شغاله، بس الاكسسوار مطيشره على مستوى البساتين والجوار. قذائف امريكيه الصنع مش اسرائيليه بضربه اسرائيليه، امريكيه الصنع مش بضربه اسرائيليه. هذه خلونا يشوفونا اياها اعملوا صور واعملوا الابحاث اللي بدكم اياها. هل نحن هون في منشاه عسكريه؟ لا، هون في هذا مركز بيعتبروه، بيخافوا منا هذه الآلية، بيخافوا من بحصة صغيرة، بيخافوا. نحن باقيين هون بهالأرض، نحن ما بنترك هالأرض، بنورثها لأولادنا وبنضلنا هون والحمد لله على كل شيء. تعرفوا لعندي لهون على الدوتية على الأرض وشوفوا وجيبوا خبراء من العسكريين.
This is the second crater that we noticed.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's like 10 meters wide.
Yeah, I mean it's a big impact crater, and there's obviously some very powerful munitions that have been used in these strikes. We've seen other similar impact craters here. So this was a barrage of missiles from the fighter jets. Very powerful.
There's a second one.
Yeah.
This is the number 3 that we see, and again, it's around the same diameter. So they use the same kind of GBUs, bunker busters, to go into this bedrock so deep and to have those machinery fly, this heavy machinery all the way to the other side.
And the whole site's been destroyed. I mean, that's every single construction vehicle, this building over here, completely destroyed.
And that's behind us is greenhouses. They're also destroyed. This is an area that's mainly, agricultural. And as we see, industrial. There's an industrial warehouse right there.
Yeah.
we haven't seen anything military here.
No, there's no military presence, there's no Hezbollah presence, there's nothing here, just construction vehicles and agricultural land. So this notion that the IDF say when they say that they're striking Hezbollah targets, Hezbollah positions, well, again, time after time we come to these sites and we see that they're lying, that this is just an ordinary construction site in an agricultural area. This is not a military area at all. Nothing.
Well, anything that stands in the way of total genocidal aims of the Zionists and is considered Hezbollah. Period. This is how it is. If you are something like this, like a construction site that could help people in the south, you're Hezbollah.
Yeah.
If you bring food to people, you're Hezbollah. If you're a doctor, you're Hezbollah. If you're a teacher, you're Hezbollah. Anyone and anything that stands in the way of Zionism in the area is Hezbollah. And therefore, I think anytime they brand you with Hezbollah, you should be very proud of yourself. Yeah. Well, Steve Sweeney, thank you so much for being with us
Always
once more. People should follow him on Sweeney Steve.
At Sweeney Steve.
Sweeney Steve on X. There you get a lot of the information from the region because of your amazing work at RT, and I am following personally. I ask you guys one more time to press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and to go to our website, freepalestine.video, to donate so we can continue bringing you this content. Behind the camera is Hadi Hotait. I'm Laith Marouf. Until we see you next time, we bid you all a free Palestine and a free Lebanon.